I automatically got concerned. And then actually, I then saw our text chain because Key reported it to all of us that it was his right leg. I then found out later throughout the night that it was potentially his Achilles on his right leg. So, obviously when you compensate after having one injury to one leg, these things sometimes happen. I absolutely hated that it went to Klay, that it happened like that to him. But automatically in that moment, when we were talking about the draft, I said, if you're Bob Myers right now, you have to assemble the plane on your way down after you jumped off the cliff, because this changes the whole dynamic of your team. We had talked about before about this team potentially packaging Andrew Wiggins and the second pick for another player, a superstar. So that totally threw that scenario out the window. And, Jay Billiston talked about, hey, stay cool, stay calm. Whatever your plan was, stick with it. And I was a little bit different than that. I didn't think you could stick with your plan because Klay Thompson was playing a huge part of your plan. Now Andrew Wiggins had to be cemented in your plan. I thought they should have either traded down the pick. Chicago wanted to give them up Wendell Carter, so that could have given you a big, and you could have gotten the fourth pick in the draft, which I would have went for a guy like Denny Avdija, who is from overseas, who was a talented, 6'8", 6'9" wing player who can drive, get to the rim defensively, kind of could give you somewhat similar to what Klay Thompson had. Or I would have went with LaMelo Ball at the second pick in the draft. I would not have stayed with James Wiseman, who, along pair with Draymond Green, I love James Wiseman as a talent, but I just don't know if he'll be utilized the same way if you don't have the three-point shooting around him of Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry combined together. So I thought LaMelo Ball would have been the answer, or trade down the pick. I would not have chosen James Wiseman.
Jay, I know you alluded to, the way that they went about doing things. Do you think, though, with the injury to Klay, that it completely changed their course and what they were going to do?
Well, Key, I don't know to what information were they privy to, because he still has to get an MRI. But the Achilles, that doesn't sound good. But then do you make a knee-jerk reaction? Do you take another playmaker? Do you take a defensive guy? I think it had to factor in. This stuff happened literally minutes before the draft. Minutes before the NBA draft with the second pick, with a team that was already somewhat, you felt, indecisive with what they wanted to do. So I'm sure that threw a major haymaker into the whole equation.
But didn't they need all along, if they were going to compete with the Clippers and the Lakers in the West, they needed a somewhat of a center, so to speak, a stretch four? Didn't they need that?
Look, I think it's easy, Key, to be like, hey, you have Anthony Davis, you have Jokic, you have Nurkic, you have a lot of these incredible bigs in the Western Conference. They did get an extremely talented piece of the equation, but there are a lot of serviceable bigs out there, guys. There's a lot of serviceable bigs on the free agency market. They maybe not give you the same versatility of skill set that James Wiseman would have given you. But ultimately, look, Stephen Curry has been known that when he has to assume volume, right, the major load, he's had injuries, guys. Like it happened once again this year when Klay Thompson was out. Like he had another injury. And we've seen this before in his past history, ankle injuries before he got Klay and things of that sort. So, my thing is, Steph is better when he's around other playmakers. So then the question becomes, Key, with this unit in particular, who is the playmaker? That's Stephen Curry all the time. He has to make everybody else's job easier. And I know that, with LaMelo Ball, you might have two defensive liabilities on the court together, but you have two incredible playmakers. And that's what allows Steph to thrive as well, when he can play off somebody else that understands how to play and can keep everybody involved with his passing ability. And that was LaMelo Ball.
JWill, you're a basketball savant. You forgot more about basketball than I would ever know. But I want to talk about the asset, and we have to talk about him asset because this is a business. Klay Thompson going forward with these two major injuries, do you think that he can come back, understanding that his game was below the rim? We have the same issues and same questions about Kevin Durant, the fact that their game isn't predicated off, playing above the rim like a Russell Westbrook. How do you think, this plays for him going forward in his future? He's 30 years old, two major injuries, but they have a lot invested in him going forward.
Man, we got a stat last night from our stats and researcher guy, that, out of all the miles that he runs the most miles there is in the NBA, right? Consecutively, like, up and down the court, back and forth. So now you had a left knee ACL injury. You potentially are going through an MRI to see if you have a torn Achilles. Look, I know technology is different, Bart. I know guys can come back from injuries like that. But now you have two injuries on different sides of your body that you have to work through. I think it takes a while to get back to a high condition level of what you were before. It takes a while. I don't know how your body responds. And Key talked about this before in the first hour. I heard you guys. Look, when I had my left leg injury, it was like about a year later, I dislocated my right ankle because I was compensating. Like, you naturally compensate. You can go through all the therapy in the world. You can be mindful of it. You can practice it, shifting your weight of your balance, but you end up compensating. So if he's had an ACL injury to the left leg and now he's having a potential injury with the right Achilles, if that's what's actually going down here, how do you not compensate it again with the left leg? These are things sometimes that can bottom out. I want to see Klay Thompson win more than anything. I love him as a player. He's one of the most dynamic players we have in the game. I just don't know how you come back from both these within the span of a year. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.